What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? This is Jake from Citizen JV, and today I want to talk about something here. This recently happened earlier today, that there is a remaster of Thief: The Dark Project on the way. It is coming out later this year during the winter, and I want to talk about this because I was totally ecstatic. I couldn't hold my excitement for so long because I love this franchise. It was one of the most beloved franchises of all time, and it's finally coming back for over 20 years. Now, words can barely describe how excited I am for this because I love this franchise, as I mentioned, so my apologies for the repetition. And I played 1 through Deadly Shadows. I loved all 3 of them. And I think what really makes this game so important, not just from nostalgia reasons, but how much of a bigger legacy that this game really has, and how it really built, and how it somewhat coincidingly along with Thief 2014. But other than that, Thief 2014 for me was very disappointing because I guess I was expecting a lot more than I wanted it to be, and I really wanted it to be like so much like the original franchise, especially the Dark Project. And lo and behold, I was not just utterly disappointed, but I was just disappointed overall for the game. I really, really was. And it just goes to show you that when it comes to Night Dive Studios as a whole, I have so much respect for this company. They have done such an amazing job over the past few years with remasters, like a Star Wars game that they have done. I think it was about 2 or 3 years ago. We got the Quake remaster, Quake 2 remaster, Doom 64 remaster. And here again, they are cooking, ladies and gentlemen. And this is one of the biggest reasons why I love old school gaming. Nostalgia, old school at its core. And it's just the core themes of the old school aesthetic. I grew up with a lot of old school games, much like the original Thief franchise, Doom, Quake, Unreal. All those old school games on PC. Now, I'm going to be honest here, though, too. When I saw this trailer for the first time earlier today, but I actually did not know that it released after the fact, which was basically around, I believe it was like about around 4 or 3 p.m. Central Time, my time where I live. And when I saw the trailer and watched it through my flat screen on my TV, through my PS5, obviously on YouTube, I'm just like, what? I'm like, there's no freaking way. And then one thing is for certain, I would say that I never really thought I would see the light of day having an old school game, much like the original Thief franchise, or even the Dark Project, come back at its core as its true potential of a possible remaster. I always thought about it for years, and now the dream has finally come true. Now, one thing I did notice when I watched the trailer, it was a very short trailer. I was just like awestruck. I was excited. I was just like totally ecstatic, and did not really understand how really exciting this game was or is as it is. And it's the core themes of this game that really just resonates because, not just because of old school and the nostalgia of it, it's a lot of things that you grew up with it. You played it a lot. And, playing these games and thinking about them back in the day just really gives you the idea that not just the importance of nostalgia or preservation, but the fact of the matter is, it's Night Dive Studios. They have been able to do really good preservation of old school games. And I'm going to say they are cooking. They are cooking so much lately. And I'm going to tell you, man, I can't wait till this game comes out on consoles. Yes, it is coming out on all platforms, PC, PlayStation 4 and 5, Xbox Series X and S, and I'm like, wow. This game looks gorgeous in a very provocative and dark and foreboding type of way, and that's one of the greatest things what I love about this game in general. Even in Thief 2 to the Metal Age or Thief Deadly Shadows, And so And when Thief the Dark Project came out in 1998 initially, and then it came out in 1999 again as a gold edition for this game, it implemented 3 new missions. And one of the newer missions in the game was called Assassins. And so another thing what really greatly appreciate about a game like this, not just because of its old school nostalgia trip, you know, it was everything that was all about it. I mean, you're able to use tools much like you're playing as like Batman. And that was one of the greatest things what I loved about this game, or even the whole entire franchise as a whole, because it was intriguing, it was subterfuge, it was just espionage-esque in a way to where it also felt like a little bit of Splinter Cell, or maybe a little bit of Dishonored. Because in a way, Dishonored, when that came out years ago for other consoles, as we do have now, that's basically a modern Thief, if you think about it, because the original people that were in Arcane Studios actually came from Looking Glass Studios that made the original Thief franchise, especially the Dark Project. And I think that's where, for me, when it comes to rethinking this game and seeing it as a potential remaster as it is already coming out later this year, like I said again, I'm just like, I was so excited. I was just like, what the heck, dude? And it was that moment to where I'm like, yes, this is something that I've always wanted for so many years, and it's finally coming for the very first time on a console. On a console, ladies and gentlemen. And so that's exactly what I'm saying. When you play a PC game like this, that is remastered, going to a console, and really thinking about how it's going to play. And I think that's where, for me, I'm like, I'm intrigued. I'm very curious of how it's going to play. But at the same time, it's just like, you have to ask yourself, well, how do we know if it's going to play really, really well? And not only that, you have to remember that this game originally was only PC eccentric. And what I mean by that, it was nothing but a PC game. And that's why I'm saying, when it comes to this game as a remaster, you know, coming to the consoles and PC and vice versa, I'm just very intrigued of how it's going to play, because I play on console, but I do own a gaming laptop PC, but I use my gaming laptop PC only for my productivity for my channel. And so, again, thinking about how this game is going to really utilize the console-eccentric of the controls, whether if you're on Xbox or on PlayStation or even PS4 for that matter, because you have to understand is that not only was this game a PC-eccentric game, but bringing it to a console that has been really developed really well for other games from Night Dive, I really think that this is going to be very interesting of how it's going to play, though, too, because I never really thought playing a game like this in a remastered format, playing it with a controller, because I was so used to playing the game on PC. And that's what I'm saying. While I am kind of somewhat scared or concerned about how the control specific for the game is going to be on console, because if you think about it, it's going to be weird playing with a controller. While I know you can play this game with a controller on a PC, but I feel like that it's going to be completely different. I just think personally, in my personal opinion about this, I think this is going to be a really perfect fit to get into a franchise that we know well and loved on PC onto more newer generation of platforms, even for the modern gaming of today. So anyways, too much further ado, this is Jake from Citizen JV. You know what to do. Please leave a like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Any comments or questions? I'll see you guys later. Peace, guys.